Lance Stroll is getting lots of criticism after his bad performance in Brazil. He didn't even really get to start the race because he crashed during the warm-up lap before the race began. On top of that, he also crashed during practice and badly damaged his car, just like what happened to Alonso. But the difference is that Stroll has been crashing way more often lately. He's starting to look like a driver who doesn't want to get better anytime soon. With other drivers like Tsunoda being connected to Aston Martin, will the team finally have to get rid of Lance, who is the son of the team owner Lawrence? And more importantly, is this something the Canadian billionaire will have to do if he wants his team to win championships? It's obvious that Aston Martin is going through the worst time in racing history right now, but they're still looking forward to their future, which includes working with Newey and Honda. This team-up brought lots of success to Red Bull, and as Marco said, there's no reason why it shouldn't work the same way for Aston Martin too. Lawrence Stroll said it clearly. The goal isn't to stop here but to bring Verstappen as well. The three-time world champion has been open about possibly leaving Red Bull after 20 years and maybe finding a better place somewhere else. This makes us wonder if Aston Martin would force Alonso to retire early, or will they make the surprising move of moving Lance to a different job in the team? The team boss of Aston Martin, Mike Crack, said that Lance's technical knowledge is very important and they're building the car around it. But right now, it seems like his help isn't really helping the team much. Alonso said the team is probably the 9th or 10th fastest right now. Since they're getting Newey and Honda in 2025 and 2026, things will definitely get better. But there's a lot of work to do behind the scenes. One of the most important things that needs to be fixed is who drives for the team. We don't need any more proof of what Alonso can do in a good car, even though he's in his mid-40s. For Stroll, the situation is very different. Since he's comfortable right now, he doesn't feel pressure to drive his best to keep his seat. This was always going to be a problem for Aston Martin because the whole project is supposed to be built around him. Many people believe that Stroll had the potential to get good performance out of the car and prove that once the right people are hired, he could be good and show the F1 world that he's not the joke of the racing grid. But if we look at what happened in Brazil, we can't really defend what he did on the warm-up lap. This guy spun his car in a very weird place during the warm-up lap, and when he tried to get back on the track, he did it by driving on the wet gravel instead of going on the dry road area that would have let him start the race. It was definitely considered a beginner's mistake, and overall, Stroll is just embarrassing himself at this point. It's really not nice to see him get worse the way he does right now, but again, he has nobody else to blame but his lack of driving skills. When you look at how Alonso manages to handle the car even when it's at its worst, Stroll just gives up and starts acting mean towards his race engineer as if it's their fault that things are bad. This is not something that Newey and Honda would be happy to work with. Quite the opposite, which just gives us a very honest opinion that they will try to get Verstappen's signature or even bring Tsunoda, who understands what it takes to perform well under pressure. Yes, he hasn't been the best teammate or driver when he was with Gasly, but that has changed a lot now. From what we can see, if Honda and Newey can turn Aston Martin into a championship-winning team, there is no doubt that Tsunoda can be one of the best drivers for the team if he gets signed. The big question would be who he or Verstappen would replace, and whether Aston Martin will push Alonso toward retirement. But if they do this, it would basically mean that they will have one good driver on the grid instead of two, since Stroll's importance would be very low to nothing. But again, the main person who should be questioned here is Lawrence Stroll, because he is the one who raised Lance to what he's become right now. If we're going to talk about it more, he provided everything for him and went on to say in public that his seat is safe as long as he leads the team. That is, however, a big uncertainty going into the 2026 season. It's not just Max who's going to look for other options elsewhere if the situation with Red Bull continues. It's Tsunoda and his relationship with Honda that needs to be watched closely in this whole story with Stroll. One thing is for sure, Lawrence would have to pay attention to what Honda and Newey would have to say, as well as Aramco, which is their main sponsor. The team is now making it really hard for the main sponsor to explain where their money is going. This might be one of the reasons why Aramco was almost ready to buy out the team from Lawrence Stroll, and in this case, Lance would have been out of Aston Martin very quickly, even though everybody at the Silverstone-based team thinks that there's no question about the loyalty and commitment that exists between both sides. A bit of good news for Stroll is that Tsunoda is considered a Red Bull driver amid all of the changes that are happening right now in the Austrian team. While he will be given a test with a Red Bull car at the end of the season, chances of his promotion are still sitting very low. Marco has tried to get people excited about them a bit, but the fact that Lawson finished in the points twice in the 3 races he participated in, especially in Aston where he started from 19th place, has shown that he might be the right choice when it comes to being Verstappen's teammate. On top of that, Lawson is a product of Red Bull's training program, and it would make much more sense to promote him than Tsunoda, because we do know about the relationship that exists between him and Honda. If it wasn't for the Japanese company, the young driver might not have participated in the sport in the first place, but his chances for a Red Bull seat are still there and high now that the test is supposed to take place after the final race. When talking about it, Horner said, "Well, Yuki obviously is a member of the junior team. It's something we've discussed with Honda. We gave Yuki a run up the hill at Goodwood earlier in the year, and that was unexpected. He was the first driver to drive a current Formula One car in an open-face helmet and goggles. He will test the car again in the tire test following the end of the season. It's something that's been agreed for quite some time. It will again be good to give him a run, give him the opportunity to work with Red Bull racing engineers, and see how he performs in a Red Bull racing car. Whether you like it or not, Tsunoda is a real contender, and in Brazil, he's shown that he can be a lot better than Lawson, and whoever is put as his teammate. He did better than both De Vries and Ricciardo in the same seat, and still received no attention from the Austrian team nearly as much as he would have hoped for. But what we must watch closely is how things develop in Red Bull. While Verstappen has likely secured his 4th championship with the amazing drive from 17th place to 1st place, while Norris barely managed to finish 6th after a terrible race, the problems of the RB20 are going to continue and carry over into the RB21 when everything starts from zero again. Both Marco and Jos Verstappen were very loud when it comes to the future of the 3-time world champion with Red Bull. When talking about it, Marco said that there's a high possibility we're going to see him in Aston Martin, because even Honda and Newey have said they want to reunite their forces with Verstappen. Furthermore, Marco said, "Max drives where he can win. Aston Martin has the most modern factory. The wind tunnel will be commissioned next year, and there'll be Honda engines. Everything fits, basically. If you look at history, it's clear that everywhere Newey has been, there's been an upward trend. I don't see why that would be different at Aston Martin." The behavior of the RB20 has been questionable to say the least, and that might force Verstappen to think about another plan in his future. With all of this in mind, do you think that either he or Tsunoda will become part of the Silverstone-based team in the future once the new rules hit? And more importantly, do you think it will come at the cost of Lance Stroll's future in the team? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in the bad news that is currently hitting McLaren after the disastrous Brazilian Grand Prix, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.